have been well trained.
No.
You don't have to carry a sword to be powerful.
I won't fail you.
Or do not.
I'm not afraid.
There is no try.
All right, we are back with the repairing. So we see Ewoks on the left and Jabba on the right. Now, this is a classic matchup from Gen Con 2019. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to experience here.
Well, we know what the Ewok apocalypse can do. We do a lot of indirect, and it's just so much health to chew through. So we know what Jabba can do as well with all these support. So. Suki, you're kind of the Ewok expert almost.
Yeah.
What are you thinking here?
I think Yub Nub is going to happen. We're going to see some yubbing, and we're going to see some nubbing, and in that order. So essentially, the Ewoks use a very low amount of dice. In fact, probably 3 at the maximum, because they're going to use Chief Cherpa, Pod Racer, and Crate Speeder. Those are their primary options. So they're going to be utilizing the Ewok, which when they activate, they deal 1 indirect damage. So the 4 Ewoks on the left are just going to tap, deal some indirect damage. The Hoth Trooper, when you activate him, you can target a untapped character, deal damage directly to that character. And then Chief Cherpa is just... Chief Cherpa's a body, so the special is the best thing you're going to get. If you can spot 3 Ewoks... No, is it 4 Ewoks? Yeah, it's 4 Ewoks. If you spot 4 Ewoks, you deal 3 damage, because I was like, there's a 4 and a 3 in there somewhere. Then you have Armored Reinforcement, which allows you to go through your deck or your discard pile and play a vehicle at a reduction of 1 resource. So you can search for the Pod Racer, and then you play across the galaxy to switch to your battlefield, or you can search for that Crate Speeder and get some damage on the table. It's a lot of really interesting plays, but this is a very traditional aggro deck. You're going to just try and draw aggro, do lots of damage, and burn through your opponent as fast as humanly possible. But you are going to have to deal with Jabba, who, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that deck?
I mean, we've seen it before. They're going to make money, dig through their deck, and get supports out. That's what this is going to do. We have Watt here coming in with a blank. Looks like a discard and a 2 focus there on Jabba. So we're digging through the deck. Target acquired on Watto. So that's he's made his target.
Yeah, target acquired is a very critical card you need early game, and the way it works is you can only attach it to a character that has damage dealt to them, which is why I use that Hoth Trooper to attempt to, early game get a damage onto a target you want. Then once a character has target acquired on them, any indirect damage you dealt has to be assigned to that character. So all these Ewoks initially would be dealing 1 indirect damage that the Jabba player could just allocate wherever they wanted. Now, all that damage is going straight into Watt, which means it's going to hurt real bad because you've got a lot of cards like Strength in Numbers that you can just poke a lot of damage. You've got Ewok Glider that can do a lot of damage. Like, there's just lots of tools that the Ewok player has available to them. Inflict Pain. It's just going to be really interesting because Watt is on a clock.
Yes.
But the Jabba player still has a lot of options and a lot of ways to just
including what I saw in his
here.
hand, which is an Embrarian hover tank.
All right, so tell us about the spicy tech that is going to give the Jabba player a little bit of a healthy way to deal with Ewoks, because not only do the Ewoks have a lot of damage, but there's a lot of targets. So you're going to need to have ways to spread out lots of damage via, one action, do a thing to every one that your opponent has.
And there it is, drops on the field. So Elbarian Hover Tank, 3 cost, a villain support vehicle. It's got size of 2 range, 3 indirect, 2 disrupt, 1 resource, and a special that costs a resource. The special is deal 2 damage to each of an opponent's characters, or 3 instead if 1 or more mods are on the support. So not going to see the mods on there more than likely, but we're going to get 2 damage to each of those Ewoks, which is going to pare down the board a little bit if he can get the specials off, though.
Yeah,
that's the big thing. Is can you? I mean, there's a lot of focus between Jabba and Watt, but can you? Well, there's the focus on Sentinel Messenger as well.
Yep.
So we could be seeing one here.
So here's the other thing. You have to be careful because if you get your Ewoks down too low, you turn on the removal spell, Situation is Desperate, which allows you to pay 1 resource and the number of characters you have that have 3 or less health, you can remove a die. So if 2 or 3 of your Ewoks have some damage on them, you're getting a lot of value out of that card.
And there goes the special. So 2 to each character. So
all right,
so 1 off the shields on those first 2, but everyone else is taking 2.
So here's the thing: we saw kinship come out of the Ewok player, so they have 2 resources, 6 tapped characters. Do you think we're going to see strength in numbers here?
It'd be a good play.
So strength in numbers is a burn spell that states for every exhausted character you control, you deal that much indirect damage to an opponent. But that would overkill Watt.
It would definitely overkill Watt.
I mean, I feel like if you can kill Watt, you kill Watt.
Diplomatic.
Okay, diplomatic protection.
Okay.
All right. So if that character with diplomatic protection dies, every other character gets 2 shields. So clearly, inflict pain.
Yep.
That's where it was. So inflict pain allows you to deal 2 damage to one of your characters, and your opponent takes 2 indirect damage, which is 2 direct damage to Watt because of the target acquired. But it's a wombo combo play that allows you to put essentially 10 health onto your board in shields. So you have 1 character down, your opponent has a bunch of damage on the table, but all of your characters have 2 shields. Feels really good.
He's going to try and get rid of those shields, and he gets a 2 gun. So he'll choose whoever he wants to get rid of those 2 shields. But yeah, it's a lot of shields on the table right now, and that's what this deck does. Just shields up and.
Yep. So let's talk about the game state for the Jabba player. Your opponent has 2 shields on everything. Your Watt is 7 damage deep with a target acquired. What do you have to do here? Because you only have 1 support on the table, and although it's really great against Ewoks, you're not going to have enough time to deal 2 damage every round and survive at this point. Yeah,
it's going to be it's a little bit seeing that diplomatic over there early. Hitting the Umbarian special was great, but seeing that diplomatic is rough. It's just war of attrition at this point, really.
Yeah, we also saw the Jabba player pitch a fist, and they
Mega
pitched a Mega Blaster.
So he's going for it. Well, that's not what you want.
It's tricky because those are the cards he needs out on the table to put pressure on the Ewoks. So where do you go from here? What's your game plan?
Well, he goes with Forsaken. Well, he hits the special.
For one, does he have a resource?
He does have a resource.
There you go.
So does he? I claim so.
You know what? 10 damage for 1 resource is not a bad
it's
trade.
Not bad, but obviously, think about if that diplomatic hadn't been there, we'd be looking at completely different.
Yeah, if the diplomatic hadn't have been there, he did have the strength in numbers. Okay. But as we said before, that would have really overkilled Watt.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tricky. He should be able to kill Watt here pretty quickly, though, because he claimed, which means he can get the Hoth Trooper activation off. He can get Ewoks. He can do 2 Ewoks. There's a lot of options that Ewok player has right now.
Well, he could just kill Watt with the activation on Hoth Trooper too, and that's probably what. 1 on Jabba. Okay.
Yeah, you want to get that free value.
Yeah, he could have. 1 Ewok activation will do the same thing. So, get Conscript Squad. Okay.
So tell us a little bit about Conscript Squad.
It's DH-17 on a stick. that's basically what it is. It's a support you get to after you activate a leader. You can roll it in with the leader. Obviously used Watt's power action there to roll it in. Counterintelligence, good play here. Trying to get some of those events out. It looks like he's got a truce, and I think that was a convergence in there. I couldn't see the that's armored escort, so all of them have guardian.
Just for this turn.
Yes.
So we see another diplomatic protection on an Ewok, which means that's going to be the target to guardian away. If he guardians 3 damage into that Ewok, 2 more shields come out for everybody.
Act of cruelty. Well, that's one way around all those shields.
Let's talk a little bit about this here.
1 cost villain event, deal 1 unblockable to each character, and then you discard cards from your opponent's hand equal to the number of defeated characters they have.
Right.
Good. I mean, it's good Ewok tech and good tech against even the 3-wides too. Get through all those shields.
Right. It's even more important to note that this is an excellent way to strip the opponent of cards in their hand. And most decks that are very aggressive are playing a lot of burn spells out of hand, a lot of effects out of hand, and they're utilizing a lack of... So they trade basically a lack of dice for a ton of options in the deck. So if you can strip those out of their hand, you're really hurting their availability to impact you during that turn.
Wyatt, sorry, miscounted there on Wyatt. He's got 1 more health left.
Yeah, he's
rolling
got
in the tank.
6, 7,
Redirect.
8.
That's not what he wanted because he's going to Guardian this.
Yep.
And take that out.
So like we said, anytime you see 3 damage, it's going to go straight into that Ewok, which means 2 shields on everybody else. So we just saw a swing of 8 more health on the Ewoks. Now, the hover tank can deal with it, as we saw, but let's be honest, it's going to be really obnoxious to have to do it again, because now you're still not sticking damage on the Ewoks, which is really bad because you want to kill them.
Yeah.
And they're there's 2 Ewoks that have 3 or less health, so our situation is desperate. It is online for 2 target dice.
There's some money on the messenger. We're going to get a top look here. And are we going to play it? Our DM on the Armored Escort, that's fine.
So what does that card do?
DM, you remove a resource. Remove a support, my apologies. And deal indirect damage to yourself equal to the cost. So obviously it costs 0. So dealt with him 0 indirect.
Right. And now the Ewoks do not have Guardian, so he can't just start to put damage where he wants. And the Jabba player has the capacity to put damage into the characters he deems threats. But Jabba has a target acquired on him, meaning that we're going to see the exact...
Whoa!
Oh! All right, let's talk about this card. This is a big play. We'll talk about Jabba, though, real quick. So with the target acquired on Jabba, all the indirect damage that the Ewoks would have been doing, probably going into the Sentinel Messenger, are now going to be going into Jabba, which is not good. You're going to have to find a way to manage some of that damage. But we just saw a big play, so let's talk about
so
this.
Planetary Bombardment, 6 cost villain ambush. After you play it, you can deal indirect equal to the number of vehicles you spot. So he's got 1 out. But 4 indirect, 5 indirect, 6 indirect for 1, 7 indirect for 1, and 4 disrupt. So just a big ol' lots of damage. I mean, indirect is with all the shields. I mean, it's going to take a while to shoot through and everything, as well as characters. But man, that's a big ol' support to throw down.
You know, 4 indirect damage for free is nothing to scoff at.
Yep.
That's a huge number.
Yeah.
Now, the Jabba player has 8 health left on Jabba. He's got he has a big support. He's got the tank. He's got the conscript squad.
And claims.
Okay.
Here comes AR.
So as we said before, you can search your deck or your discard pile for a vehicle card. You can play it at a cost reduction of 1 resource. And the generic play is to either get out the Crate Speeder, which we're seeing right now, or the Pod Racer, and you combo into Across the Galaxy, which allows you to switch the battlefield to basically yours if your opponent takes theirs.
And so his is Arena of Death, which is when you claim, you deal indirect damage equal to the number of defeated characters you have.
Up to 3.
Up to 3, yep. So it's nice little play there.
It's
We're rolling the Crate Speeder. It's like a resource.
So the Crate Speeder has the ability to deal 1 damage to itself and increase the value when you resolve the die. So he's definitely
Still a resource,
searching.
So that's not, he was
Yeah.
a little frustrated there. That's not what he wanted there.
Yeah, the Ewok player was searching 100% for the 2 indirect side or the 2 range side because he can boost it to 3 damage. And because of the target acquired, both of those sides would go straight into Jabba. So it was a 33% chance. But unfortunately, it didn't trigger. So Jabba has life and the opportunity to strike here. But the Ewok player does have 4 resources, which could be very disastrous considering there's a lot of expensive cards in that deck, and getting those online is very, very, very
Here
gross.
comes the tank for 2 damage.
So you're the Jabba player. What are you searching for here? What do you need to do?
I mean, the special's always great, but I think just getting characters off the board. That's what you really need to do. Well, not going to activate Jabba here. I mean, you just got to keep getting characters off the board. You got 4 more left. You got 4 health left on Cherpa, 4 left on the Trooper, and then 2 shields on that 1 Ewok, 1 on another one. So it's just churning away and hoping you can get around those tricks that the Ewok deck has.
Yeah, so something we haven't seen very much of is removal coming out of the Ewok player, which you have to be aware that you have things like easy pickings, our situation is desperate. There's a lot of other... 4 indirect.
4 indirect, yep.
All right. So we could see some pretty gross removal, and the Jabba player has to play around that because he can't just roll everything in and have a bunch of dice just taken off the table.
All right, there's 3 indirect, 1 more to be dealt. Probably the troop. You can do that. Oh, there's 2 damage on the trooper. That clear damage token is blended in there a little bit. All right, so deals it to Cherpa, so 4 damage on Cherpa.
This game is not over.
No, definitely not.
Because the thing is, even if Jabba goes down, there's still 3 very potent supports on the table.
Yeah.
And the conscripts have a lot of modified sides, and they can add into that Umbran hover tank if Jabba player decides not to try and reroll it to get the special.
Yeah.
But if you do roll the modified sides, that would be enough to kill something. You could kill an Ewok. You could put some pressure into Cherpa. You could probably take out the Hoth Trooper. It does depend what he rolls. But there is probably, more than likely, going to be somebody dying here, one way or the other.
And 1 for rigged. Okay, so 2 damage to Jabba.
So what does Rig Detonation do?
So it's going to do indirect equal to the number of resources your opponent has.
But you can't play it unless your opponent has the battlefield. So it's a really, really great way to get some free damage out of hand for 1 resource. All right, Jabba rolls out, so we see Focus. We see some Disrupt and 3 range damage online. So at this point, you could kill an Ewok. Cherpa is at 4 out of 7, so you could kill Cherpa. The Hoth Trooper has 1 out of 5, so you could kill a Hoth Trooper. Like you have... No, you can't. You need 4.
Glider Attack.
Oh, I love this card. So Glider Attack allows you to activate an Ewok, dealing 3 indirect damage. Your opponent can then choose to mitigate some of the damage by spending resources. So the opponent decides, I'm going to spend 2 resources, and then 1 extra damage will go into Jabba, which is good because, Jabba at 9 damage is real bad. But we see the Focus coming out of Jabba. So there's the Hover Tank special. Jabba...
You can't pay for it right now, though. Doesn't have any money.
He might have a trick in his hand.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a truce.
I would be very, very surprised if he did that without
Strength
a way to
in
make
numbers,
money.
okay.
All right, Jabba is
done.
toast. So Strength in numbers deals 3 damage to Jabba, which is exactly what he needed.
Okay. Well, he got Theed. I missed that. So yeah, he got Theed, so he can. Yeah. He has the money now to pay for it.
Let's talk about this.
Another glider attack.
Oh wow! So that's 3 damage straight into Sentinel Messenger.
Yep.
Nothing you can do about that because he could spend the money, but he is not going to do that.
Yeah. So two to each. So
now we're at critical mass because the Ewoks have 3 damage, the Hoth Trooper has 3 damage, Cherpa has 4, 5, 6. So if he rolls out the Umbran hover tank on a special and it doesn't get removed, that's a game.
Yeah.
But he only has 5 health on his Sentinel Messenger, and that can easily get burst down. So what are your thoughts on the situation? Because it's close.
It's very close. I think a big question mark right now is, does the Ewok player have Across the Galaxy in his hand?
Does he believe in Yub-Nub?
And don't forget, he hasn't rolled out the Crate Speeder either, so he's got possible more damage coming through there.
You could get 3 more. This is a very, very tight game.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. But I will say, if he does get Across the Galaxy off...
Inflict pain. Okay, so he's killing Cherpa.
If he does get Across the Galaxy off, that's probably game because all you got to do is claim.
Yeah, don't. That's, he has to wait next turn, though, because I don't think he has any cards in his hand right now.
And this is a really fun thing about Destiny is even though someone might say, well, this is a terrible matchup, you never know what's going to happen. It could be really close. It could be really not close. But that's the fun of the game is experiencing that. Yep. All right, let's see what the Crate Speeder rolls. Oh, no.
Maybe?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's see what he gets. If he gets the 2 damage, that's...
2 indirect,
okay. All right, so that's pretty much 2 direct damage. All right.
Motive, okay.
I'm assuming he's going to say range sides.
Yep. Nice.
Okay. So hidden motive. Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, 0 cost, you call a side, and if it's that side, it's removed. One thing, another thing to think about, we're going to get a claim here. discard the
Can he
belt.
get
He's
the
looking for
sticks?
damage. Or, I mean, I would take the shield at this point.
Well,
but
he's got cards in his hand.
Yeah.
If he can get a kill, you get that kill. I think.
Well,
Oh no, he
also,
can shield.
almost any side. I'm no good to be dead. Okay. Any side on planetary. Oh, double.
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
Double. We knew we had the one. That was.
All right, tell us what just happened. That's important.
So he played 2 no good to me deads. So it's dealing a lot of damage. He's not getting the discard out of it, but the Hoth Trooper's at 1 health.
What? Wow.
That's
a
big
play.
play.
That's
That was a big play.
huge play. That turned everything
Yep.
around. He's not going first. The Hoth Trooper can only deal 1 damage, but there's a shield online.
And he just all the Jabba players got to do is roll out planetary, get any side, and that's it.
But here's the problem. If he has Across the Galaxy, he could just change it out, claim.
Yeah.
So we could be on a 2-action clock right
Yep.
here.
Let's
So-
see what happens.
Essentially, I think the Jabba player needs to roll the big support to try and just get a high value of damage.
Mhm.
But he could have something in hand. We don't know. All right, here we
There
go.
you go.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think he knows there's a very high potential of losing.
Oh,
no.
hits the blank.
All right, do we see Across the Galaxy? No.
No.
So he probably doesn't have it.
It's a 2 range. Forsaken.
Oh, Forsaken.
Okay.
Okay. Forsaken allows you to remove a die value 2 or less
As long as
if
it's
there's
one
one
die.
die in the pool.
That's armor reserve, so that's got 3
Okay.
counters on it. You can exhaust it to deal 1 indirect.
I'm pretty sure there's no Across the Galaxy play here.
It seems that way.
So do you pitch to reroll? Oh,
Senate
Senate Chamber.
Chamber.
Okay.
Okay.
So the power action on that is
Unless
important.
you turn, yeah, it is. So you can remove a dice to turn any other dice to any side. Nope. Put it on. There you go.
All right. So Sentinel Messenger is at 6 total damage. Hasn't rolled out, but
Here comes the tank.
this is gross.
Oh, maybe. Oh,
Looking for blanks. He got it. Gets to look at the top card of the deck, though. See if he can get some kind of spicy tech. Nope. Nothing here.
Paying 1.
All right. What is it?
Pod racer.
Pod Racer. Okay, this is an ambush action, so he could roll 2 damage on the indirect side.
Nope.
but
Discard.
it's a discard. All right. I'm assuming, yeah, he's going to flip. So let's
Okay,
see
yep.
if the Ewok player has mitigation. We haven't seen much. Yeah, okay, what's he got? Situation is desperate, perhaps?
Yep.
Yep. All right, so he's fine there. See the hover tank?
Resource.
No dice.
He's got convergence in hand. I see that. And near miss. So
What did he get?
he rolled it off the board.
All right, let's try that again. All
There's
right.
the indirect.
So that's lethal. Does Jabba have removal? The fact he hasn't instantly played it tells me it's probably not a good feeling right now. He's trying to shore up his options. Doesn't mean he doesn't have it, but he's
Nice.
thinking about it. Oh, he's pointing top card,
Yeah.
which it's probably removal.
Mhm.
Which I'm getting a feeling it's
Yeah,
not,
might
not
be the end of the
looking so
road.
good here.
Oh,
All right,
yep.
he's rolling out.
Yep.
Resolves the 2 indirect damage.
Good
And
game.
the handshake. Wow.
That was close.
What a game. That was
Yeah.
nuts. And the convergence.
That
Yeah.
was dead card anyway, though.
That could have been anyone's game. It was back
Yeah.
and forth and back
Mhm.
and forth. And that's just why this
Yeah.
game is so much fun.
That was great. Great game.
Woo.
Vote play by both players.
Congratulations to everyone who's here, made it out to Nova Open. It's been a blast to just meet and talk to everybody, but that was one fantastic
That was a great game. Great game, yeah.
That was so much fun to watch. Any thoughts coming out of this?
Man, it shows that anything can happen. Those 2 active cruelties back, that was great.
The hover tank was just
Hover tank was
on
good.
gas.
And planetary bombardment. I think that's
Yeah.
a really nice addition. If you can get the money for it, that's a great addition to the deck.
That was really cool to see that on stream. You don't see that card very often, even in casual games,
Mm-hmm.
and just to see it come out like, oh, well, big damage,
Yeah.
big values, very exciting. So that is the end of round 3. We still have about 10 more minutes left, so we're going to take a break. We'll be right back, but we are going to be going on a lunch break after the 4th round. So stay in touch, stay tuned. We shall return here in a few moments.
This coverage of Star Wars Destiny is supported in part by our patrons. The Chance Cube wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the support of our patrons. We appreciate each and every one of you who generously support us in our mission to explore Star Wars Destiny and educate players along the way. We couldn't do it without you. If you would like to join our friends in high places, then head over to patreon.com/thechancecube. $1 a month goes a long way to maintaining and growing content like this and much more. And special thanks to Jim Goss, Derek Bertram, and Nathan Henderson for their generous support as top-tier patrons.